Welcome back to another informative and exciting episode of POTCAST where we cover everything cannabis and hemp. If you haven't subscribed yet to our channel, please do so, as this will help us sustain our channel. And remember to cannabis responsibly at all times. Welcome to another episode of POTCAST. I'm sitting here with Mama Myrtle. The reason why we are all here, you made this possible. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, it's a great honor to be here, and my name is Myrtle Clarke, and I'm a Dacha activist.
You're so modest. You do so much.
So yeah, I'm managing director of Fields of Green for All.
Yes.
Which is exactly what it says, our name. You know, when you email us, you have to write out the whole thing. Fields of Green for All. .org.za.
Yes.
And we fight for the rights of cannabis users and traders in South Africa.
And you've been very active in making sure that the cannabis of some sort is decriminalized. That we can all come together and sit here and people exchange and networking going within the cannabis industry. And I find that you are not being given your kudos, but I understand you're not doing it for kudos, but I am giving you your kudos. It's very brave what you have done, what you continue to do. Can you please just explain to the viewers exactly when you say you're an activist, what is it that you are doing? I know, of course, what it is that you've done, but for those that are watching and do not know, but where have you been? But yeah, just please explain.
So there's two levels to it, because at Fields of Green for All we are a civil society organization, and more broadly a drug policy organization.
Yes.
So the role of civil society and drug policy is to create the bridge between public health and the criminal justice system.
Okay.
That's our role as an organization. And then as an activist, it's a lot more personal.
Of course.
Because it all started with myself and my late partner's arrest. And once you've smelled the inside of a South African police holding cell, you'll never quite get that smell out of your nose, And at the time, Julian and I were working in the film and TV industry. We never had children, and we basically had three choices. We could either accept our punishment, which was a maximum of 7 to 10 years, and we laugh now because it's they only found us with 1.86 kgs of dacha, you see. So, but in those days it was the bad old days of prohibition, and we were really looking at jail time and possibly losing our property and all of that. The second choice was, because it's South Africa, we could just pay a bribe. So we got the name of a dodgy lawyer and made made the call, and he says, okay, you can put 10 grand each in my bank account before I'll speak to you.
20 grand.
So 20 grand for the two of us, and we're just like, what? No. Or we could actually fight the law, and through a series of amazing interventions by incredible legal minds, we just set out on this road, and then after a few years it became too much to still work in the movie industry.
Why was it too much, if I may ask? Was it because
of the time and the amount of time that it takes to really help people and run like big social media
campaigns? Not because people were saying, okay, you guys are involved with this.
No, not at all.
Okay, all right.
Okay, our colleagues and even our bosses and producers and directors and everybody in film and TV were incredibly supportive. Everybody works in the movie industry, smokes weed.
Of course.
So then we became full-time activists, and we registered Fields of Green for All as the NPC and all of the rest. And then your role is just to inform people of their rights and just get people to not just take this drug policy of our country for granted. There is something that we can do. We live in a democracy, and quite frankly, the prohibition of dacha is the last apartheid law. It really is. And our ANC government, before we started this, had 27 years to sort out the dacha laws. You know, so, and I'm sure that lots of ANC coffers were filled with dacha over the years. You know, when we were visiting down in Pondoland, when they were spraying the dacha crops with glyphosate poison, which is a known carcinogen, we went down to go and film so that we could share it all over the world.
Yeah.
And the one gogo, I was sitting there and we had a translator, and she explained to me, she said, that pilot in that helicopter, he knows this area. And why does he think he's so clever? What paid for him to become a pilot? All the way through school and everything. It's the stuff that paid
Exactly.
for it. Yeah?
That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. So please tell us, what exactly is it that now you are busy in doing in terms of the cannabis industry? I'm sure there's a lot that you are doing. What is it that you're doing right now in the cannabis industry?
Yeah, thank goodness the areas that we have to work in have narrowed quite a bit. You know, we used to have to do everything.
Yeah.
But now there are loads more people in industry and people taking care of things like education. You know, we've got the amazing Chiba Academy who are really forging ahead, making a great go of it. So we are ticking the boxes as we go along. Our main objective is to have the evidence heard, because the Cannabis for Private Purposes Bill and the Cannabis Master Plan are still stuck in the old apartheid days, and they still think we're dirty stoners. And everybody wants to make money from it, you know.
Yeah,
but the way what's been coming out of Parliament is shocking. It's really shocking. I mean, so you're only allowed to possess 16 seeds, you know, and if you've got 20 seeds, then you can go to jail. You know, all sorts of stupid things like that. I always say to people, well, the government still think we smoke the leaves, because there's a whole generation of the people in power now who were young during Prohibition, okay?
Yeah.
And that is how they think. Prohibition was the most successful propaganda campaign ever. And even though those people in Parliament might smoke it themselves, they still have that stigma.
Yeah.
It's so entrenched. And every single police person, the minute that they see a young person, particularly a young male person, and the worst of all, a young male person with dreadlocks, they will stop that car. And they will search, because they profile people just the way black people were profiled under apartheid. And it's shocking.
It is.
So we're looking to keep shouting about the way that they're making useless, unsustainable laws, and also still to be fighting against the police, and to get a just thing that we can get the police and cannabis in South Africa and separate them completely. Because what we would like established is the office of the Cannabis Ombudsman.
Okay.
Bud is in capital letters, you see, so it's Ombudsman. And so that is the go-between. The Ombudsman establishes where the harm has been done. Somebody gets caught with 5 kgs of weed in their car, whatever. Who are they harming? Okay? The Ombudsman, then the cops say, oh no, they're harming. Before those people can be locked up in a cage or charged or criminal or anything, the Ombudsman will decide whether there's been any harm. This person is a known gangster with a firearm who's got assault and battery charges. Okay, maybe that was going to be for the process of crime. But we need that in between, because our police are useless, uneducated, underpaid, overworked, under-resourced, and what comes out at the other end with our police is something terribly ugly. It's super ugly. I hate them, and it's sad.
You're saying that out loud. Oh my goodness.
I can imagine what you've been through.
But I can imagine it's obviously speaking from what you've been through, what you've been experiencing. But then let's talk about the work that you're doing. I can imagine it must be, as much as it's time consuming as well, you know, but funding. Are you being funded to be doing all of this?
What's that? Funding. Every single cent for the last 12 years of our campaign has come from the South African cannabis community.
Wow.
Every single cent. We've never had any big funder, investor. You know, there's lots of big funds around the world that fund drug policy research and that fund activism and all of that.
Yeah.
But in the early days, we spent a lot of time fussing about funding and applying and being turned down and applying, being turned down.
I know it.
It was either a case of, oh no, they don't want to touch it, it's drugs on the one end, or on the other hand, oh, it's only cannabis, that's a done deal. We'll rather fund as important but needle exchange programs or something like that, because politically also for the big funding bodies, those the problems around the opioid epidemic and all of that are more politically viable for them right now. Cannabis is a done deal. So we actually gave up a few years ago.
Yeah.
And so we just hold events, sell t-shirts, sell whatever, you know.
Yeah. That's how you are basically raising the capital for you to continue fighting.
Yes. And then we also have an affiliate program.
Okay.
So we have, I think at the moment they come and go, but it's about 23 companies in South Africa.
Okay.
Who pay us 995 Rand a month to be affiliates of Fields of Green and support our work. And then we try to support them as much as possible. And then we've got a small membership thing called the Green Network.
Okay.
And that's 49 Rand a month.
Okay.
And so that's your common garden. And we've got a few thousand on the Green Network. But it's very admin intensive.
I can imagine.
And it breaks my heart to not be able to pay my crew properly. You know?
That's what I was asking about the funding, you know, because like I said, a lot of people speak of what you're doing and they boast of the fact that they know you and stuff like that, but I always ask myself, but what are you doing to assist? Are you doing anything to assist, you know, because just talking about it is not really helping.
You know, I have a dream to put like huge big Dhaka billboards all over the place. It just is like a wake-up thing.
Yeah.
But never been able to do it because it just costs too much money, you know. And so, you know, it's things like that, and also to pay academics for academic support. We already support a few academics through their Patreon pages, which works out quite nicely because we've got a worldwide network and we all feed each other information. But if I've got to suddenly go down, jump in the car and drive from Johannesburg to Port St. John's because there's an issue that needs to be dealt with and the international community needs to know about it, then where does the petrol come from? You know,
exactly, because that's cost.
Yeah,
you know, that needs to be covered. I understand that. You know, we're hoping that whoever's watching will be able to, you know, assist you further so that, you know, you can keep on fighting. I have one question for you. You know, I've always been curious to find out what you now think of what's becoming of this cannabis industry in today's generation. Well, what's your take on what's happening?
I think it's amazing. It's so exciting. Who would have thought, you know?
The fighting and the sweat.
Yeah. I mean, people say, oh, and all the politics and all of this and that. We were told very early on that if you have any special interest group, you're going to have that kind of politics, and this one doesn't like that one and whatever. It's human nature.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. But I think if we can just get some sort of clarity from government, I think that we've got the potential to have an amazing industry. But the problem is that we don't need it to become too big too soon because it's going to leave people behind. So we would rather do it properly and go slowly.
And everybody benefits.
And just stop the cops. And then let's do this slowly, because I always say to people, look after yourself, look after your family, look after your community, and then after that, and your community, I mean my community is the cannabis community, which is enormous. And then I look after the South African interests first. Even if I'm speaking in a conference in Montreal, I'm speaking for South Africa and our plight.
Yeah.
So if you don't look after your community, then you can maybe, when your community is sorted, which then all our communities are never sorted, then you can go and run around the world and export your dacha to outer Siberia, you know?
Yeah.
First of all, we need primary health care. We need cannabis medicine in every single government hospital, every single oncology ward.
Yes.
Before we're sending our cannabis to Switzerland and Uruguay and Canada and whatever.
Yes. Let's
Stop
benefit.
it.
Let's
Yeah,
benefit.
stop
You know,
it.
I agree with
Yeah.
you. Oh my goodness. Because of time, I would definitely like to continue having this discussion with you, but because of time, we have to go. And I thank you so much for coming onto our show. It's such an honor to meet you and for you to grace us with your presence onto our show.
Well, I'm certainly hoping that the next time you're in Babylon, up in Joburg, you will visit us at the Jazz Farm and come on our show, which is the Hot Box Show.
I definitely want to do that.
I'll return the favor and I'll think of some questions for you. And you can
that
come
would be
see our Hot Box
lovely.
show.
That would be lovely,
Great.
Mama. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And on that note, please do remember to cannabis responsibly at all times. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, and share buttons below. We would also appreciate your comments. And remember to cannabis responsibly at all times.